In the last few years, states across America have been passing measures to protect the unborn. But last night in Texas, lawmakers ran into a roadblock.
That's right. After a tough battle, Texas failed to pass one of the strongest pro-life bills in the country before the deadline at midnight. Charlene Israel tells us how it happened.
The cries from pro-choice supporters in the Texas Senate chamber drowned out Republicans attempting to vote on Texas's sweeping anti-abortion bill. Texas Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst called the crowd of nearly 400 an unruly mob and blamed them for using Occupy Wall Street tactics to disrupt the Senate from protecting unborn babies. He said the bill passed 19-10, but because of all the noise, he couldn't hear the proceedings. Senate Bill 5 restricts abortions after 20 weeks. It also puts significant restrictions on abortion, doctors, and clinics. Opponents say it could shut 37 of the 42 clinics in the state.
It is about women's health. Those parts of the bill truly were about women's health. The 20-week ban is truly about the pain of a 5-month-old baby going through an abortion.
Before the protesters erupted in the Senate gallery, Democratic Senator Wendy Davis filibustered against the bill for 11 hours.
I want to continue by reading the portion of the bill.
Abortion opponents cheered her on, arguing the laws would make it nearly impossible for a woman to get a legal abortion.
They're trying to make it very, very difficult for the women in Texas to have that choice.
Davis's filibuster was halted before the midnight deadline approached when Dewhurst ruled she had gone off topic. But then the protesters stepped in, and a time stamp on the vote showed it failed to meet its deadline. The proceedings drew thousands of online viewers as well, and even caught the attention of President Obama's official Twitter account, which tweeted out, "Something special is happening in Austin tonight." 24 states nationwide are pushing to regulate abortion clinics, causing abortion advocates to push back harder and sparking a countrywide debate. The case of Philadelphia abortion doctor Kermit Gosnell, who was sentenced to life in prison for murdering 3 babies born alive, has also focused more public attention on the issue of abortion. But Texas lawmakers may try again. Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst hinted that Governor Rick Perry may call another special session to get the bill passed, saying, quote, "It's over. It's been fun, but see you soon." Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Thanks, Charlene. Let's turn to another subject, and Wendy is a staunch mountaineer from the state of West Virginia. What do they feel about coal over there, Wendy?
Well, coal is king. Coal is everything.
Oh, coal,
you know,
okay.
it's the backbone of America as far as fossil fuels go.
Okay.
And I think you've said that West Virginia or coal is the Saudi Arabia. We're the Saudi Arabia of coal.
Saudi Arabia of coal.
Yeah.
And the president has launched a war on coal, war on West Virginia. What do the West Virginians think about him?
Well, they're so upset. I mean, West Virginia is a Democratic state.
Yeah.
Senator Joe Manchin is a Democrat. However, they couldn't be more against Obama's policies on coal. People need jobs. And the problem, Pat, is that the restrictions that they're putting on coal to make it clean don't exist yet. And so they're asking the coal industry to do something that's not even possible, not even feasible yet. And then they're asking people to suffer and give up their jobs.
Well, half of all the electricity in America, at least, comes from coal-fired utilities. So what are they going to do in their place? Does anybody know yet?
Nobody knows. And the problem is that these poor people, there really aren't a lot of other industries. I mean, coal really is the backbone, not just of West Virginia. It's an important industry in Kentucky and a lot of other coal-producing states. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that these grandiose ideas are great for the future, but what about right now? People need jobs now.
Well, he's not mentioning jobs, and having put this thing through by executive order, he's bypassing Congress, which is a slap in the face of democratic processes. And guess what, Wendy? According to our faithful producer, I said, when does he go to Africa? Well, he leaves today. So
how convenient.
Yeah. maybe the coal state people can't reach him when he's over in Timbuktu.
Well, they will with their votes. Well,
they will.
Well, he's already in his second term.
Lost West Virginia, so I guess he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Well, today's the day for those major rulings, same-sex rulings and other Supreme Court rulings are coming down, and Lee Webb has more on that story from the CBN newsroom. Here's Lee.
Pat, the court's decision on marriage comes as states remain split over the issue. The number of states permitting same-sex marriage has gone from 6 to 12 in the last year, but the drive to legalize it in Illinois has stalled, and 30 state constitutions ban it. We will have full coverage of the court's rulings on CBNnews.com and on tomorrow's 700 Club. States across the South are planning to go ahead with new voting measures now in the wake of the Supreme Court's decision to strike down a key part of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. The High Court ruled that 9 states, mostly in the South, can change their election laws without the approval of the federal government. Officials in Texas and Mississippi say they will place new voter ID laws in place. President Obama and many liberal leaders are disappointed, even angered by the ruling. But conservatives say it recognizes the progress the country has made on racial issues. The Supreme Court has handed property owners a victory. It said governments cannot demand excessive and unreasonable amounts of money in exchange for a building permit. This is a story that CBN News has followed for years. The Kuntz family bought 15 acres in Florida back in 1972. The state later declared their property as wetlands. Well, the Kuntzes offered to let 11 of those 15 acres stay undeveloped, but then local bureaucrats demanded the family pay up to $150,000 to upgrade other distant government-owned wetlands. When the family said no, state bureaucrats refused to give them a building permit. Now the Supreme Court has ruled the bureaucrats were wrong.
Government can at times be a creeping blob, absorbing your rights, and hopefully this will at least put a halt to that.
The Kuntz's attorney said the court put government on notice that it cannot turn the land use permitting process into an extortion machine. Syrian Christians say the U.S. is helping turn their country into an Islamic state. That testimony came during a congressional hearing on religious minorities in Syria. Nina Shea, the director of the Hudson Institute Center for Religious Freedom, testified that militant Islamic rebels are targeting Christians for what she called ethno-religious cleansing. And Christian Solidarity International CEO John Eibner said displaced Christians are asking him, quote, "Why is the U.S. at war against us?" Eibner says the U.S. should work with Russia to negotiate a peace rather than help Sunni Muslim rebels turn their country into an Islamic state. The president is delivering on his promise now to bring unprecedented federal policies to address climate change. He unveiled them in a major speech Tuesday. Jennifer Wishon explains why some fear the new policies are bad for jobs.
There is no question. Extreme weather is plaguing the U.S. While there's disagreement among scientists about what's causing it, President Obama says he has no patience for those who deny human activity is affecting the climate and says the U.S. has a moral obligation to address it.
As a president, as a father, and as an American, I'm here to say we need to act.
He's directing his administration to launch the first ever federal regulations on heat-trapping gases.
To put an end to the limitless dumping of carbon pollution from our power plants and complete new pollution standards for both new and existing power plants.
Mr. Obama says new regulations will cause companies to innovate, creating new industries and jobs. But some Republicans accuse the Obama administration of systematically trying to eliminate some fossil fuels, especially coal. In response to the president's plans, Kentucky Congressman Ed Whitfield says, quote, he is personally responsible for the loss of thousands of jobs. He obviously does not have much interest in states like Kentucky, Tennessee, and Wyoming, where the coal industry is so vitally important and we are losing jobs dramatically. Other parts of the president's plan include streamlining approval for clean energy projects and fortifying the nation's infrastructure to better weather powerful storms. And while the president acknowledges oil must be part of the nation's energy portfolio, he offered a grim outlook for the future of the Keystone Pipeline, the project that would carry crude from Canada to refineries along the Gulf. It's currently under review by the State Department.
The net effects of the pipeline's impact on our climate will be absolutely critical to determining whether this project is allowed to go forward.
New regulations announced by the president will be implemented through his agencies by presidential memorandum, leaving Congress out of the loop. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Pat, back to you.
It makes me sick at my stomach. It is a socialist power grab that bypasses the democratic processes. And we didn't elect a dictator. We elected a president, but he thinks he's a dictator. And this is going to have a terrible impact. You know, Wendy, this Keystone pipeline, you've got oil that comes out of Alberta. Some of it comes out of those tar sands. All right. The oil is there. The Canadians, our dear friends and partners, are going to sell it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
All right. The Keystone pipeline was rerouted through Nebraska to miss the Ogallala Aquifer, which is a big water source, so they didn't want that. And it connects in, and what they'll do is have, it's about $20 billion worth of money. It'll give several thousand jobs to Americans who need jobs. And what the Canadians have said, look, the folks in Alberta are going to cook their, you know, gooey tar sands oil, and they're going to sell it to China. If you won't take it in America, we will just put it in a pipeline and take it to the West Coast. It's that simple. It has nothing to do with climate, whatever, because the Canadians are going to do what they're going to do for their economy, and this Keystone pipeline merely means the United States has a secure source of oil for our refineries, and it'll take it down into Texas where the refineries are. That's all it is.
Frustrating, isn't it, when things make so much sense and then they just don't do them in Washington?
He's a dictator. He wants to be crowned. I remember there was somebody along the way that wrote a play about Julius Caesar. You remember that? There was a gentleman named Brutus who said, we didn't elect a dictator, and Caesar is a dictator. And Brutus said, I didn't come to praise Caesar, I came to bury him. But anyhow, he didn't get a mandate from the American people. He didn't run on this, as a matter of fact. He accused Mitt Romney of being against coal. I mean, the man, it just boggles the imagination. And so some of us steam a little bit. I hate deception. I think we ought to have truth, don't you? I'm all for truth.
Well, my heart breaks for my home state. You know, I'm a West Virginia girl, and well, Kentucky's right next door, and got a lot of friends there, and I've got some friends that are coal miners. My grandfather was a coal miner, and you know, it's just it's sad when you see the coal's in the mountains. It needs to come out. I mean, I think God put it there for a reason, don't you?
This will do a job on Wyoming, too. There are other places that produce coal. But as I've said before, we now are almost to the point where we're energy independent. Why? Because of the creativity of a Texas oil man who came up with the concept of breaking up the shale and getting oil out of it. And so we're producing all kinds of natural gas. We have an abundance of natural gas, and natural gas is a wonderful, clean-burning fuel. But Obama doesn't want it. He wants solar. What was that company that he...
Solyndra? Or,
Yeah, Solyndra. And how much did they spend? About $750 million, $1 billion. It was almost $1 trillion, I think, wasn't it? Was that what they gave on it?
I think so, and I think it all went down.
Every bit of it was a loss. And so other of these so-called green projects have gone busted. Why doesn't he let the American industry alone? He doesn't want to, because he's a socialist, and socialists want to control everything. And as Margaret Thatcher said, socialism is wonderful till they run out of other people's money. Okay, what's next?
How do you really feel?
Oh, Wendy, I am upset about this, and I really am. I am upset about it.
Well, I'm glad, I'm sure.
I love the people in West Virginia, obviously, but it's Wyoming, it's Ohio, it's all the way up in
Kentucky and Pennsylvania.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
A court victory for supporters of a Montana statue known as Big Mountain Jesus. The statue was erected on federal land in the 1950s to honor World War II veterans. But the Freedom from Religion Foundation sued to get it taken down. It claims a religious icon has no place on public property. But the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty fought the case in court. Now a federal judge has ruled that the statue is indeed a religious symbol, but it added that it does not violate the Establishment of Religion Clause of the U.S. Constitution. The American Center for Law and Justice filed an amicus brief in that case. Former Republican Senator and presidential candidate Rick Santorum is moving from politics to entertainment. Santorum is now CEO of Echo Light Studios, a Dallas-based Christian film company. He joined the company's board 1 year ago. He says he believes Echo Light has the opportunity to transform the culture through entertainment. And you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.